Today we're looking at notes GG-1 polar equation conversions. So the equations today will be making lines and circles. What we're working with today will make lines and circles. So in part A we'll be going from rectangular to polar. When your answer should be a polar equation, the equation needs to be in R equals form. Okay, in part B, when we're going from polar to rectangular, our equation should have x's and y's for variables only. No more r, no more theta. Okay, to be going back and forth, what we're going to be using is our coordinate conversions at the bottom of our formula chart. We will use these as well as these for our conversions today. So let's start with number 1 in part A. So we're taking this rectangular equation and we're converting it to a polar equation. So we know from our formula chart that x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. So r squared equals 49. Okay, of course, you want r completely by itself, so square root both sides. Okay, so then you're going to have absolute value of r equals 7. So you're actually going to have two equations. It could either be r equals 7, or you could use the equation r equals -7. Both will produce the same graph, coincidentally. So in this case, it would be this one or this one. That's one of those weird special cases. Okay, so let's look at number 2. So on number 2, y equals 6. We don't want y, we want r. So we know that y equals r sine theta. So we're going to plug in r sine theta for y. So r sine theta equals 6. Okay, get r completely by itself by dividing by sine theta, divide by sine theta, so you would get r equals 6 over sine of theta. That's your final answer. Similarly, here we have x equals 2. Okay, so we know that x equals r cosine theta. So r cosine theta equals 2. So to get rid of the cosine theta, divide both sides by cosine theta, cosine theta. So then you get r equals 2 divided by cosine theta. Okay, so that's all we're doing in part A. Let's look at part B. So in part B, we're going from polar to rectangular. The equation should only have x's and y's, not thetas or r's. So here on number 1, theta equals -pi/4. On this one, we are going to, you'll see why, bring in tangent. Okay, because tangent deals with both y and x. So bring in tangent on both sides. So this is going to look like tangent of theta equals tangent of -pi/4. So then tangent of theta is the same thing as y over x. Tangent of theta equals y over x. So y over x equals, let's find out what this value is. What is the tangent at -pi/4? So -pi/4 is here. That would be -1. Okay, so tangent of -pi/4 is -1. So this value here, trying to get the right pen, from the unit circle is -1, which -1 over 1 would make this a fraction, and then we can cross multiply. So we would have y equals -x. That would be our equation. All right, on number 2, you've got r equals 5. So on this one, a clever thing to do would be to square both sides. So we'll square this side, square this side. That would give us r squared equals 25. You know that r squared equals x squared plus y squared. So x squared plus y squared equals 25, and that's actually our answer because this is a circle. This is a circle with center 0, 0. It hasn't shifted any. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then it has a radius of 5, the square root of that number. Okay, so let's look at number 3. So r equals 4 cosine theta. So again, all right, you want r squared, not just r. So what we're going to do on this is we're going to multiply both sides by r. Okay, so times r times r. So this would look like r squared equals 4r cosine theta. Okay, r squared gets substituted with x squared plus y squared. So x squared plus y squared equals, and then r cosine theta, what does that equal? So we'll bring down the 4, but then r cosine theta equals x. So now here we want to move over this 4x to the other side. So we're gonna move this over to the other side, and this is gonna look like x squared minus 4x plus y squared equals 0. And then we're going to say that this, we're going to do the completing the square. Okay, remember this is like x minus 2 squared. And then what's that value that you need to cancel out? Well, if you take x minus 2 and you FOIL it out, you would get x squared minus 4x plus 4. So if you add 4 to this side, to cancel it out, you will need to add 4 to this side. Because remember the x squared and the minus 4x, that all goes back to this. But then you would have this extra plus 4 that you don't have on this side. So since you'll be adding a plus 4 on this side, you'll need to add a plus 4 on this side. And then this becomes the equation for a circle. And we'll talk about this again. So this is your equation, your circle equation, where on, remember before this had the center 0, 0, this has a center of 2, 0, right? So this shifts it to the right 2. It doesn't go up or down any. There's nothing in parentheses here. And then the radius, of course, would be 2, the square root of this value. Okay, so similar on number 4, practice another one of these. You'll multiply both sides by r, so times r times r. Okay, so you get r squared equals 6r sine theta. Okay, so you know that r squared is x squared plus y squared, and then equals, and this will be 6 r sine theta is y. Okay, we'll do the same thing as before, scooch it on over. So we would get x squared plus y squared minus 6y equals 0. Of course, you want that term with the y. So here, this will stay x squared plus, this will become y minus 3. Remember, we cut this in half, squared, because think about foiling y minus 3. It'd be y squared minus 6y plus 9. So that plus 9 on this side that you're adding to this side, to cancel it out, add 9 to this side. So we would have x squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 9. So that's our equation of the circle. And the center is 0, positive 3. Almost slipped up there and wrote negative 3. And the radius is 3. Okay, 2 more, different type this time. So on this one first, we have r equals 3 secant theta. So first thing we need to do is r equals 3 times 1 over cosine theta. Okay, so now we would say r equals 3 over cosine theta. We're going to put this r over 1. Then we're going to cross multiply because this would look like r cosine theta equals 3. Well, r cosine theta is the same thing as x. So x equals 3. That one looked like it was going to be a bear, but then it ended up not being. Okay, let's look at the next one. So here we have cosecant. So r equals 2. Cosecant is 1 over sine of theta, right? So then we have r equals 2 over sine theta. We'll put the r over 1. We'll cross multiply. Oops, wrong color there. So r sine theta equals 2. What is r sine theta? Hopefully you're screaming at home. Y. So y equals 2.